Hello, welcome to a slightly different looking Leftovers episode. It's a bit more kind of, it feels like we're having coffee, or we're having a pastoral.
Except we don't have coffee.
There's no coffee.
We're having coffee, but without the coffee.
And we're having a pastoral meeting with you. You're here with us at the table. It's not a pastoral meeting.
No, that's a bit weird.
This isn't going to be a deep conversation. It's we're just going to chat about what we've done a little bit. Yeah? Yeah. So the episodes we've done, a bit about the episodes we want to do, and
A bit of a looking back and looking forward type.
yeah, and kind of reaching out to you as well to see what you would like us to talk about. Because if we don't know what you want to hear, we won't make it, and you won't watch what we make because you don't want to hear it. So it's helpful to get some feedback, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll start with what we've done. How many episodes do you think we've done?
Oh, I don't know. 20?
I said around 20 last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. By last time, I mean the first take of this video. So yeah, I think we've done around 20. There's been a bunch of sermon ones.
Yeah, mainly sermon leftovers.
Which have been good. They've been good to do.
Yeah.
More in depth than Sunday, going deeper into the subjects that weren't necessarily for the Sunday conversation. I remember Claire's talking about the Nephilim.
Yeah, just things that come up when you're reading through passages that can become a bit distracting sometimes in a sermon, but still need to be addressed.
Yeah, and you can't replay a sermon back multiple. Well, you can, but not. We can do exactly the same with a sermon in this video. What am I talking about? I don't know. It's slightly different though, isn't it, with a conversational setting? Because I'll ask questions that people in the congregation might ask.
Yeah, it's more of a it is a different format rather than kind of that expository teaching where you sit in the congregation and take it all in. This is a lot more of a conversation, which you don't get on a Sunday. You can't ask those questions. You can't process in the same way as you do in a conversation on a Sunday, because you have to go away and think about what's been said.
Quickly write down what's been said.
Maybe listen back to try and process it. Whereas in a conversation, you walk through those that understanding together, don't you? So
yeah, exactly that. So we've had a load of them. We've also had some standout episodes. Standalone. They will also stand out. Standalone episodes.
Yeah.
My mind goes back to the very bad lighting of the Nathaniel Jeanson episode, which was great.
Which was a really good episode.
Really good. He was really generous with his time. Very grateful to Lisa for setting that up.
Yeah.
He was just so clear in his not so basic science and his Bible knowledge as well. That was a great episode. I think that's close to 700 views or something now. And that's not just me trying to watch it back and understand it more.
No, but we do recommend that if people haven't seen that episode, to check it out.
Of course, yeah. Always recommend people check out our videos. It is very good. Oh, my throat. The other one. Did we get the one with you and Dave talking about the cathedral out or not?
Yes, but that was audio only.
Yeah.
We talked about a flyer that we picked up from the cathedral.
Oh, it was still there on the other day.
Yeah, talking about God, Jesus, Christianity, what's it all about?
Yeah.
Except they don't talk about
Jesus.
Well, they do, but only,
they might as well not.
But not as God.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
so
as a historical figure who showed us what it means to be authentically human.
And we saw some more basically anti-Christian stuff in the cathedral last week, so we might touch on that in an episode.
I think maybe that would be good. I think what might be good to get some feedback on would be would it be helpful to kind of do some worldview application in terms of seeing things in culture around or in churches around, and then walking through together, okay, how do we apply a scriptural framework to these things that we're seeing? So like with the flyers, looking at these and saying, okay, well, how can we apply a biblical framework to what we're seeing? how can we then identify what's good in this, and how can we identify what's wrong in this, which I think is just useful for every aspect of life. To be able to have those skills is good.
Yeah, and if there's subjects we're not touching on, we'll get to this with our feedback section of this episode. Do tell us, because we might not be in the same setting as you are. You might not be in the same setting as we are. You might see things that we don't see, etc., etc. What other standalone ones have we done?
We've done the testimony series.
Yes.
Mini series, 3 episodes.
Yes, I'm wanting to do more because there's more church leaders that we haven't spoken to. So we need to do those. And that's been good because it's opened our eyes to who the church leaders are. And that's really important to do, to know your church leaders. And that's really difficult to do on a Sunday as well, to get to the church leader to say, hey, what's your testimony? It's a bit intense on a Sunday morning. And so to be able to just have them on this platform. Yeah.
And I think that as well, to get to know them, but also to understand that the leaders aren't themselves perfect.
Yeah.
That they're not at this achieving a higher holiness, that we're all thinking, oh, how on earth are we going to get there?
Yeah.
But everyone's got their own story and their own testimony of God's grace in their own sin and failures.
And knowing they haven't necessarily had it easy as well.
Yeah.
They haven't had this perfect life. So that's really helpful to know.
Yeah.
So that's been good. I enjoyed asking them because I didn't know a lot of the testimonies, despite being related to all of the ones we've done.
Yeah. John, Claire and Dwayne.
Yeah. Did we not do yours? No, we didn't do yours in the end. And so I didn't know a lot of John's story. I didn't know a lot of Claire's story, and a bit more of Dwayne's story, just because we did his one back on the back of his sermon, where he dropped a bit of his testimony in it. A quite intense section of his testimony. And people, I think, were in the congregation were like,
what? Wait, hold up.
So what just happened? Yeah, so that was good. I really enjoyed that. And so, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's also encouraging to hear those stories, isn't it? And it's always good for the people telling the stories, just to remind themselves of what God's done for them, because we can so often focus on, times where we feel like God's left us alone, or that we don't know what's going on, but we can very easily forget the times of his faithfulness, and the times where he's rescued us from our own destructiveness. And it is good to give him the glory and to remember those times, and then also encourage other people that they might be going through similar things, and that God is bigger than those things. Even if in the midst of that circumstance or situation it doesn't feel like it or doesn't look like it, people who have gone through and come out the other side can encourage other people.
And so we'll be doing a couple more. There's our leadership team that we haven't, 2 people we haven't done on the leadership team.
And some ministry team as well. Team.
Yeah. And so there's a few more. Well, we might sprinkle them in here and there.
Yeah.
Which leads us nicely on to what we think we're going to do next. By we, I mean me.
Okay.
But
this could be a surprise for me too.
You can bring things in as well. And we've spoken about this first one together.
Okay.
A little series on healing.
Yeah, a healing testimony series.
Mainly because I forgot a key aspect in Claire's testimony.
Well, and John's testimony.
And John's testimony. So 2 testimonies already that I missed key things in, which is the reason, or one of, that we need to do a healing series.
And I think in the healing testimony series, it would also be good to do
Karen, I'm gonna get
maybe some thinking about when God doesn't heal, because we've got some fantastic testimonies of God's healing, but also trying to wrestle with those questions of, okay, so sometimes God does heal, but what happens in those times when God doesn't always heal?
Yeah, because that's a difficult one, isn't it? Because we keep saying, if you pray anything in God's will, then it will be done. And that's clearly scriptural. So how do we deal with that when, like you said, there isn't healing? How do we line that up?
Yeah, how do we wrestle through those?
Is it God's will not to heal this person, or will it be in future time? So that would be a good episode to do, because that's a tricky subject. And there's some people in the congregation that I know have some testimonies about that as well.
Yeah.
So it would be good to talk to them.
Mm.
There's just some interesting testimonies in the congregation. So I want to get some of those as well. Some people might be shy to be on camera, which is okay. So it might take a while to get those out. But there's a couple of people who I know have experience in witchcraft, in all the occult stuff. Be interesting to get their testimony and their story. There's some people who have stories of being with the Lord, walking away, then having weird experiences that brought them back to the church. So really beautiful stories that we need to capture, we need to hear as a church to encourage each other. And also, the next one that I think would be good, which we'll do a little bit today, is, I need to remember the name, Summer Saturdays. Because there's some quite intense Saturdays.
Yeah, we've got some...
We've done one intense Saturday already.
Yeah, got a really good programme lined up for the summer, don't we? We do, as you said, have some intense ones. Balanced out, I think, with some slightly more relaxed ones, which will be good.
So we'll kick off with talking about last Saturday.
Yes, we had Ben John from Christian Concern talking about what is cultural Marxism, which sounds quite intense. And
sounds intense.
I thought he did a fantastic job of what seems like a big philosophical idea and making it manageable and understandable applicable.
He did. It was still a little bit intense though.
Yeah, it did
Personally,
go on. It was about an hour and a half.
It was about an hour and a half. So it was quite a long evening. That wasn't a bad evening at all.
No, it was a great evening.
Yeah. And so he was very generous with his time as well. He came down from London on the day, drove back to London on the day.
Yeah.
We thought he was staying around someone's house. He was not. Which is fine. It's calm, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
And
do you think you can summarise what he was sharing with us?
Cultural Marxism isn't new. It's been knocking about for a long time, and it's taken a long time to infiltrate into culture, and we're seeing the fruits of it now, basically.
Yeah, but what I meant was, can you summarise what cultural Marxism is?
No.
Okay. Well, I think he basically summarised it to reducing everything to this paradigm of oppressed versus oppressor. That's basically what he was talking about, and saying that classical Marxism, you see the oppressed versus the oppressor in economics, where you have the bourgeoisie and the proletariat, the rich and the poor, the upper class and the working class, and that we need to seek liberation and freedom for the oppressed, and the oppressors need to basically repent.
So all this tax the rich stuff.
Yeah. And then he was saying that cultural Marxism sees that paradigm of classical Marxism applied to all areas of life. So we see this in identity politics, really, in all this intersectionality that we're hearing of today, whether it's sexuality, gender, race, whatever it is, that there is this this battle between the oppressed and the oppressor, and that we need to seek liberation for the oppressed, and we need to seek reparations from the oppressor. I think that's basically what he was saying cultural Marxism is.
Which is truth twisted, isn't it?
It is.
We obviously need to seek liberation for the oppressed, but we need to know who the actual oppressed are.
Yeah, that's what he was saying, that as Christians, we don't need to be afraid of this word justice, but we need to look for what is God's justice in these situations. We need to recognise, yes, where there are areas of injustice, but cultural Marxism, he was saying, seeks to create a utopia, basically a world without injustice, which the word utopia itself means no place.
Yeah.
And so that in itself is an unrealistic goal.
Yeah.
And it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
We are fallen people. We live in a fallen world. We're never going to reach this idea of paradise by ourselves in our own strength. Only with the coming reign of Christ and bringing all things into submission to him.
Yeah, it was a great evening. And if you want to know more about it, we recommend the book by Melvin Tinker, which is called
That Hideous Strength,
Yeah.
How the West Was Lost.
Yeah, Melvin Tinker was an incredible speaker, incredible writer.
Yeah.
And so his book is well worth the read if you want to know more about this.
It's very thin, very easy to read. So it's not going to be a hard slog. It's not going to take you ages, but it is incredibly good. And I believe that Christian Concern have some videos on their YouTube with him.
Yes, I think they do. Yeah.
So you can also watch him give some presentations and then do a Q&A on this topic as well.
It's very easy to listen to.
If YouTube is more your thing than reading a book.
Like me. Yeah, so it was a good evening. This week we have Camilla Olin with us. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm going to butcher the name of the book.
For Those Being Crushed.
That's it. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
And it's a book club kind of evening. And so the book's been available. It still is available. So if you're listening to this on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday or Thursday, you still have time to get a book. You might not have time to read it if you get it Thursday, or you might just binge through it.
I think even on Saturday, there'll probably be books available.
Yeah,
so if you come down for the discussion, meet the author, and then buy a book and go away and read it afterwards. We're not saying that this is only for people who have a copy and have read the book.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be relaxed. I think we'll be in the cafe area. We'll be talking amongst ourselves. It's not just going to be a formal Q&A with the author, but it's a chance to come along and to discuss this idea of the church's blind spot, this social justice blind spot that
it's about abortion, if we weren't clear.
Prevalent in the church. Yes.
There were some quite ambiguous announcements on Sundays about, come see this, read the book, come hear what she says, but not actually saying what the book is about.
It is about abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Abortion being the social justice blind spot, kind of coming in with that cultural Marxism idea that we've seen the church do lots about climate justice, racial justice. I mean, in the wake of George Floyd, there was a lot about racism in the church and justice in that sense. We've seen lots with the Gaia exhibition in Norwich about climate justice, repenting for oppressing the earth, all this kind of stuff. And what she's saying is our social justice blind spot really abortion? Because we hear about social justice in all these other areas, and yet the biggest genocide of our time is taking place and no one's saying anything.
So it's we interviewed her on the Brephos podcast about abortion. Don't spoil it by going to listen to that. Listen to that after the Saturday.
Well, you can, because it might generate more questions that you can come and ask.
It might. That's a good point. So that I'll link that in the description.
Yeah.
She's great. She's a good speaker, quite clear. So that
and again, a good writer as well.
Good
so
writer.
It's a small book, very easy to read, but very challenging. But also, it doesn't just highlight the issues. It also proposes what we can do about it.
Yeah. And then the week after, it's Matt Richards.
Yeah.
Matt Richards' testimony from Radical Church. I'm not here, so I'm really annoyed. I'm going to ask Dwayne to record it because I'd like to hear it as well.
Yeah.
So
we do a lot of work with Matt, don't we?
Yeah, we do. He's
and
a good
Radical.
guy. He's a good guy. Write that in your diaries. 13th.
Saturday the 13th.
Of August. It is August already.
Yeah.
Goodness. Okay, anyway, you should have the flyers. If not, Instagram, Facebook. Mm-hmm. They're on there. And grab a flyer, look at the poster when you're in the building.
And our aim for these Saturdays is that it's not just for our church people, it's for anyone.
Yeah, so
really.
Invite people along.
Yeah.
There's some easy invites like the C.S. Lewis film. The abortion talk might not be the easiest of invites.
Well, it might be if you know people who are passionate about justice. They're maybe not part of a church. It might be a good way to introduce them to to the church, to Christian thinking.
Yeah, if you know they're passionate about that.
But yeah.
If it's your mate from down the pub, might not be the one to invite them to.
No, but if you have friends who because there are many non-Christians who are speaking up against abortion.
Yes, invite them down.
Yeah.
If you know any. Yeah, I think that's a good intro to the Saturdays. Reaching out. Now this is going to be a bit of a shorter chat because the reason we do this is we do it for you. We started this because sermons are deep, but they can go deeper. And for a congregation to grow, they need to be eating meat. They need to be getting deep into God's word. And that's why we started these. But we don't want to just do these willy-nilly because we like using fancy, well, I say we, because I like using fancy kit and filming videos and editing them. These are for you. And so if there's anything that you would benefit from, you would like to hear us talk about, you would like to hear us discuss, or if there's anything that you feel like we could have discussed more that we've done in the past, or something that we talked about that in the end wasn't that clear at all and you think we should go back to it, let us know.
Yeah.
Comment on YouTube. Come and see us on a Sunday during the week. We're in the office every day of the week.
Or even we've got the question box out, which is going to be for the panel question and response night. But we can always keep that out so that if there are questions that you're wrestling with, that you want to walk through, if you want to leave an anonymous question, you don't want us to know who it's from, that's an opportunity that you can ask those questions, and we could maybe spend some time on the podcast going through, if it's a deep one, maybe just one question, or maybe we could have some times where we do a few more of the questions and give some help as to how to walk through questions, because that's how you grow in your faith. We're not discouraging you from asking questions.
You're allowed to ask questions.
Yeah, we're not saying that you have to have an answer for everything.
Yeah.
But this is how you grow in your faith. You have questions and you wrestle with them, and you learn how to seek the scriptures, how to pray and hear from God, and to grow in your relationship as you walk through those things. And so we want to do that alongside you. We may not have the answers. That's why we say question and response, because we may only be able to offer a response, not
we can respond,
answer.
We might not be able to
Exactly.
Who's on the panel?
It is to be announced.
TBC.
Which means no one yet.
No one yet. No, there will be a panel.
There will be a panel.
And there is, like Beth said, there's a question box. On Sunday, there'll be paper and a pen with the question box. Because there was a box, but no way to write questions down. And so we'll get that for you as well. That's a good way, actually, of getting your requests, your questions in.
And that way, as the question comes, you can write it down. You're not having to try and remember it for the next time you see us.
Yeah.
It's very easy. You can just jot it down and drop it in the box.
Yeah. So do that. What day is that on? Is it the last
that will
one?
be a Saturday. Saturday the 3rd of September.
3rd of September.
We're going to be getting some chips from the chippy.
Good chippy as well.
Yeah, we'll all sit around eating our chips and listening to the questions.
Is there a sign up needed to know the amount of chips we need to get?
Yes.
There will be a sign up sheet.
Yeah.
To let us know your chip order.
Yeah, your chip
order.
Whether it's
chips or chips.
Your chip order.
If you want
just to know how many portions
yourself.
Of chips we need.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's everything to talk about.
Well, I mean, now we've talked about all of the summer Saturdays apart from the other big one. So do we need to talk about the last big one? On Saturday the 27th of August.
Well, tell the people.
Okay.
Remind
we have 2 speakers coming from Biblical Creation Trust.
I called them the creation people on the first take.
No, Biblical Creation Trust. Paul Gardner and Dr. Stephen Lloyd are coming, and they're going to answer the question, creation or evolution? Does it even matter?
Yes, so get your evolutionist friends along, get your creationist friends along. It'd be good
It'll be a really good night. So they're going to be talking about, firstly, does it matter? Why is creation important? Then we're going to have a break. We're going to have some teas and coffees and some cake, because that first talk will be an hour. So then we'll have a break, and then we're going to have another talk about what is the scientific evidence. Where does the evidence lead? So we're going to talk why it's important and what does the evidence show. It will be a really good night.
Yeah.
Do come prepared.
Yeah. 2 notebooks probably. I think would be enough.
Bring some notebooks.
Couple pens.
Bring some friends. Do please bring some donations. We want to, as they've been generous with their time and they're coming along to bless us, we want to be able to bless all these people, not just Biblical Creation Trust, but we want to be able to give to Christian Concern, give to Camilla Olim, cover the cost with the chips, give to Matt at Radical Church, just because they've been so generous in coming along in order to do these nights for us and to help us grow in our faith and our discipleship. We want to bless them and give back. So please do come and be willing to make donations so that we can bless them.
It can be as much or as little as you want. These events are free because we know financial strains at the moment. So it could be £1, couple of quid, or as much as you feel called to give. So there's no set.
That's why we're not ticketing these events, because we do want you to be able to access them, even if you can't afford them. But
the suggested donation is a donation.
Yeah.
And that is all the summers. All the summers. All the Saturdays.
All the Saturdays. We do have one exciting Sunday coming up. You're not here for that one either.
I'm not here, and this video was going to be 10 minutes when I was doing it on my own.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Yes, we are doing a festival. Let's not talk about it too much.
Okay.
Let's leave it as a surprise and talk about it on Sunday. Has it been advertised?
No.
No, great. Well, let's leave it as a mystery. There's going to be a Sunday that is going to be
summer Sunday, which is going to be very different.
Very different.
There'll be no Sunday school.
No Sunday school.
Everyone will be
That's
together.
it. That's the difference. No Sunday school. Parents, be responsible.
It will be fun for the kids as well.
Very interactive. I say that like I've done it before. I've not, but I've seen someone waving. Here's a hint: a lulav.
Yes.
So,
if you know what a lulav is,
then you know what the Sunday is. There's a competition. If you know what a lulav is and what festival it's from, and you're not part of the church team, come tell me, and
we'll buy you coffee.
I'll buy you a chocolate bar.
Or a chocolate bar.
Yeah, of your choice. Not size of your choice, a £1 one. But I'll buy you a chocolate bar if you can tell me what the Sunday festival is we're doing.
We've just been exploring British chocolate bars, haven't we?
It's been glorious.
With your German brother-in-law.
Yeah, it's been great. It's a great excuse.
Introducing him to all the British chocolate.
Great excuse to buy 2 Yorkies, an Aero, and what was the other one? Cadbury's Flakes.
Galaxy. We were taste testing everything to try and find which is the official best.
My conclusion: chocolate's the best.
Whatever.
Anyway, slightly off track. Thank you once again for listening, not just to this episode. Well, I mean, it has been slightly random, so thank you for listening to this episode.